Welcome to Open for Business. Mapapanood nyo rin ang programang OFB sa Facebook at YouTube. Mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media at Net25 TV. I am Cesar Vallejos. Welcome to Open for Business. Samahan ninyo kaming tuklasin ang iba't ibang pamamaraan kung paano mapaunlad ang inyong negosyo. Aalamin din natin mula sa mga eksperto ang mga pangunahing trends at mga estratehiya kung paano natin mapapanatiling ang negosyo maliit man o malaki ay maging laging open for business. Bago pa man ang pandemya ng COVID-19, mataas na ang pagkilala ng mga Pilipinong consumer sa Corporate Social Responsibility o tinatawag na CSR. Ayon nga sa isang survey ng 2018, 97% ng mga Pinoy ang naniniwalang responsibilidad ng mga kumpanya ang tumulong sa lipunan. Halos 7 sa 10 mamimili naman ang nagsabing irirekomenda nila ang mga negosyo na nagkakawang gawa. That's why doing social good became paramount to doing well in business. During the pandemic, we've seen businesses committing more to CSR activities. Some engage in community service projects to protect the environment and combat poverty. Yung iba naman nagdo-donate ng PPEs sa mga pampublikong ospital, tablets at school supplies para sa mga mahihirap na estudyante, relief goods para sa mga apektado ng hard lockdowns o mga kalamidad. What has inspired this generosity and how can businesses get involved in building their communities? We'll find this out from our guests from JCI Manila as they share how COVID-19 is encouraging corporate social responsibility. All these in this episode of Open for Business. Welcome back to Open for Business. Today we have the President of JCI Manila, Mr. Richard Lim Jr., and its Director for Special Projects and Partnerships, Mr. Andre Christopher Bernardo. Kumusta po kayo? Good day.
Good day, sir. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Having a great time with you.
Before we talk about this corporate social responsibility, we've also seen the trend lately na mas bumababa yung edad ng mga nangunguna sa business. And we also learned that you young leaders are also leading your businesses. Can you give me and our audience gaano ba kayo kaaga na nagsimula sa business? Maybe let's start with you, Richard.
Ako, sir, while studying pa lang, parang mahilig talaga ako sa negosyo. So, nagtatry-try na ako. Diba? Benta dito, benta ganun. And as nag-go along, nag-develop naman yun. And kaya maganda yung samahan namin kasi mga negosyante yun, ages 18 to 40. And doon pwede kami magsama-sama, mag-share ng ideas, share ng mga problema, challenges, and also yung solutions. And yun ang maganda na yung nagtutulungan kayo. But it's really about the passion of wanting to help your community, help your country, and also help yourself in business.
Yeah, that's a good point. Andre, in your case, is that also the trend now that millennials, young businessmen are already engaged not only in business but in community building?
Yes, sir. Actually, I think regarding business, kaya mas muusbong po mga mas bata ngayon kasi dahil sa technology. Yung technology natin ngayon na nagpapabilis ng pag-unlad ng mga mas bata. And mas nai-involve po sila sa ating mga komunidad. At dahil na-involve sila sa business, na-expose na rin po sila sa community projects. Kaya it's all hand-in-hand po with technology.
Oh, since you mentioned about technology, siyempre, di ba may mga patriarchs. The patriarchs were the ones who really established their business. So may mga nabasa ako dati na kapag yung patriarchs, sila yung nag-invest doon sa business. And the next generation will spend their money. Does that still hold now? Or are you seeing changing in terms of pattern? Or is it also a question or a factor of the organization that you belong in or your family background? What do you think is the general trend in terms of millennials or young leaders engaging into this community building or nation building as a whole?
Tama po yun. I think traditionally, ganun naman talaga na may nagsisimula. And then yung anak yung magpapalago, and then yung apo yung magwawaldas, kumbaga. Diba? Yan yung traditional na
Hindi
model.
ko sinabing waldas sa term mo yan. Okay.
Pero parang yan yung parang idea nun. But I think dahil sa pandemic, and also dahil sa technologies that are coming out, na-force din yung mga millennials katulad namin na to really reflect na ano ba talaga ang future namin. How can we create our own future, build our own future? Kasi nung pandemic, maraming na-challenge na mga ideas na parang na-set. So, kumbaga, nakita din namin gaano ka affected din ng mga older people na we used to rely on. And talaga napaisip na we have to think for ourselves. So, yun yung isang aspeto. I think yung pandemic, yung isang nag-motivate sa mga millennials na talagang mag-contribute na sa society in general. Yung pangalawang factor, tingin ko, and nasabi ni Director Andre, is yung technology. I think if yung mga kabataan natin, nakikita nila yung power, nakita nila yung potential na parang paminsan parang, oh, grabe to pag na-unleash natin yung potential na to, anong klaseng mundo pwede pa natin gawin sa hinaharap? So I think both yung pandemic, yung crisis na yun, and also yung potential ng technology, ang siyang nagdadala sa mga kabataan na to say na maybe I can impact society right now. That's the
Wow, that's a good point, President Richard. Now, Director Andre, speaking of technology, we also see this pattern on businesses going into social media platforms. We never realized before that social media, Facebook, TikTok, this is basically what people engage in, the millennials engage in because they want to socialize. But we see also that these are being used in business. In your experience, gaano ba ka-importante itong social media na parehong nagagamit sa personal engagement, connection, at sa pagninegosyo?
Sa aking experience po, sir, all platforms naman po is always have to be used responsibly. I think personally, kung gagamitin mo to for enjoyment or for entertainment, madami hong magagawa talaga for your personal enjoyment. Pero for business naman po, I think it's in recent years talaga po lumago po talaga yung gamit nito sa business. Kasi yung reach po na nabibigay niya sa mga small businesses, medium businesses, and even the large corporations. Hanggang kung saang lupalop po ng Pilipinas, kung saan lupalop po ng mundo, kaya mong maabot with social media. And I think that's the best part na nabibigay ng social media sa atin is may platform tayong makarating sa pinakamalayong pwedeng marating. And nasa sa atin na po yun para gamitin siyang responsable.
Young leaders like you who hold specific positions in your respective businesses are also engaged in corporate social responsibility. Pagdating sa corporate social responsibility, katulad ng introduction ko kanina, parang nagiging uso na rin ang pagtulong. And you have a good point earlier, Richard. You mentioned about, it was driven by this pandemic. You now have to take care of yourself, of your family members, of your parents, of the business, because if you don't use technology and all that and how to help in the community, will not survive. So, what is your take on corporate social responsibility? At napag-uusapan natin kanina, ano ang pagkakaiba ng corporate social responsibility sa naririnig natin din na sustainability?
Well, magandang tanong yun, Sir Cesar. No? Corporate social responsibility, talaga yung keyword dun yung responsibility. Responsibilidad yun talaga ng negosyo. So at the core of it, kumbaga yung mga negosyo namin, mga negosyo ng members, mga negosyo ng mga negosyanteng Pilipino, lahat ng mga ito, nakakatulong sa ekonomiya ng bansa, nakakatulong sa community, but at the same time, talagang nakikinabang ang mga negosyo sa mga bagay na ito. And it's only right for business na matulungan din ang siyang nagtulong dito sa business. So yan yung parang the way na tinitingnan. But coming from the perspective ng itong sa pandemic natin, itong sa Typhoon Odette, it just shows us na we're all in this together. Kasi I think especially itong sa pandemic, napakita na kahit ano pang negosyo mo, kahit ano pa yun, kung hindi tayo makipagtulungan with the civil society, with government, lahat yan, it cannot be done. And if mas malakas ang mga institusyon natin in terms of non-government organizations, communities, matulungan yung mga tao na talagang mas umunlad sila. I think hindi lang mag-benefit yun sa community, mag-benefit din yun sa business, and mag-benefit in the country in general. And going to yung sustainability, magkaiba siya pero related nga po, katulad ng pag-usap natin kanina, na yung corporate social responsibility, ang pagtutulong ng negosyo sa community, ang siyang tinatawag na para maging sustainable din ang business. Para mas lalong tumagal at umunlad din yung business. Kasi kung ang negosyo ay tumutulong sa community, ang community ay lumalakas din yung business. So, ang tinitignan natin is paano ba tayo gumawa ng mga negosyo na sustainable para yung community umunlad din and yung business umunlad din. Kasi in the past, may ibang business model na papagkitaan mo lang, hindi mo naman iniisip yung community, maapektuhan niyo yung community, and then yung negosyo mo, maapektuhan din. Hindi siya long term. Samantalang pag yung business mo, nag-iisip na, paano ba natin gagawin yung negosyo na to na makakatulong sa tao sa lugar na to? Paano ba natin gagawin yung negosyo na to na makakatulong din sa environment na hindi maapektuhan and in fact gumanda? Mas tumatagal yung negosyo din for the long term. So I think yan din yung importante sa mga negosyante ngayon. It's not because na parang may ipakita, kasi talaga po, nagbe-benefit din po ang mga negosyo kapag may ginagawa silang maganda sa community.
Which, I'd like to make a follow-up question on that because, yes, that is something very admirable. But can you cite specific projects or activities in your case? I know that you are into tourism business. Yes. You are into cement, salt.
Yes.
Can you cite some of your family's projects wherein it is profitable at the same time you're giving jobs or employment opportunities in your community?
Yeah. So for example, sir, our resort in Bohol, it's actually named after an indigenous people of that place. And we also hire a lot of indigenous people. So napopromote din ang tribo na to. And kasi minsan pag sinabi natin tribo, parang tutulungan natin, ganun. Pero hindi, we'll make a 5-star resort in their name para world-class din po ang indigenous community natin. And gusto lang mag-segue kay Director Andre about yung indigenous peoples na projects namin sa organization namin. Kasi yun, I think kung pwede nyo i-add yun na paano ba tayo natutulong yung indigenous?
Yes, sir. Actually, meron kaming mga programa po sa organization namin. No? Regarding sa indigenous people, we're actually building training centers for them where they can engage in business. And we're trying to connect them straight to the consumer through online means. Kagaya ho ng technology na pinag-uusapan natin kanina. Ang ating pagsasama with the indigenous people, mas lumalakas po pag ginamit natin yung teknolohiya. At diretso na po yung mga consumer products nila at nabebenta po natin sa diretso na po sa consumers.
But how do you select or how do you tap that project for the indigenous peoples? Parang, do you check their specific background, their specific culture? Do you come up with a study on that? And why trading? Because that's something new with this concept of the trading business. Kasi parang it can be replicated in different parts of the country, di ba? First, my question on the selection and how do you come up with that criteria in selecting a specific IP group and what are the skills needed? Kasi parang I'm sure there's a lot of education that's needed, you know, for you to bring that into the form.
Yes, sir. Well, regarding naman po sa selection process, I think I want to focus on our partnerships po with the NCIP and the NCCA. Of course, there's a lot more better, knowledgeable people than us, and that's why we always consult with the right partners. And once we identify a community, we study their products and we dinedetermine po namin kung ano po yung mga kailangan nilang skills. Mga soft skills po ba? Kailangan po ba nilang gumaling sa paggamit po ng ating mga computer at ating pagbenta ng mga produkto nila at mga communication skills. Lahat po ito, it's all encompassing with our program po para ho well-equipped ang ating mga partners po sa kanilang mga business na ginagamit sa ating mga online platform.
Wow.
Just to add to that, sir, I think yung importante dun yung partnerships. Kasi ganun lang talaga gumagana ang CSR and also sustainability. Kung may real partnership, ang mga negosyo, ang gobyerno, and civil society. So yung partnership na yun, dun talaga nagiging maganda yung mga proyekto na nagagawa natin.
Ano yung element in terms of that partnership? I know that, of course, as you mentioned, you look at the technical capability of its partner, di ba? But kasi right now, the reason why I ask this is that there are some critics of CSR din na parang yung ginagamit na sinasabi lang nila na bogey points yan, di ba? Kakabit lang yung pangalan into that specific project. But in your case, these are real, very specific, and you tap the strengths of different organizations, including the government. So what is your say on CSR projects, critics of CSR, that they think it's just PR stunt, you know, to promote the reputation of a specific business or specific people?
Yeah. Tama naman yun, sir. Actually, I think yung first step din is para sa mga negosyante na maging honest din na, yes, on some level, talagang para rin gumanda ang reputation ng business. And it's really part of the pero sa ganun na paraan, the way na tinitignan namin, at least nata-challenge din ibang negosyo na sandali lang sila, ginagawa nila to. Tayo rin kaya gumawa ng ganito. And pag ganun, ang nag-benefit yung community. Kasi nata-challenge yung mga business na parang negosyo ko, ginagawa ko to. Sila gagawin din nila. And then nata-challenge tayo lahat na mapaganda yung sa CSR. Now, the actual results, yun yung maganda kasi for example, may mga communities tayo na talagang nahirapan na, for example, ito sa Bagyong Odette, may ibang far-flung areas talaga na hindi na-reach during sa mga organizations katulad natin, naging first responders din in helping them. And hindi yun na sabihin na mas magaling organization na to sa gobyerno, pero pagtutulungan yun kasi may mga gaps din talaga and that's where nagiging sustainable kung nagtutulungan yung mga sectors na yun.
Is your organization following a certain vision and then that you are guided by that and whatever, projects that will benefit both individual businesses, your businesses, and also the country?
Actually, sir, talking about our projects, we actually implement hundreds, our organization itself, we actually implement hundreds of projects per year. And I think nanggagaling po kasi ito sa diversity at galing ng members ho namin talaga. We're a 500 member strong organization. Every year ho nagpapalit ho yung board of directors namin. At every year meron ho kaming kanya-kanyang mga advocacy na pinapasok. So iba-iba ho rin yung mga directorate namin. Kaya meron kaming mga business development projects, meron kaming mga international projects with sister chapters from abroad, meron kaming mga national projects with our sister chapters locally. Meron din po kaming community development projects, and meron din po kami mga environmental projects at projects with the indigenous people like my directorate po.
As the new president, what is it that you want to stamp on, in terms of legacy, in terms of impact? What would that be?
Actually, I'll talk about parang paano yung JCI as an organization. Tama si Director Andre, madami kami members, we have a lot of advocacies. But at the same time, ang pinaka parang guiding program namin, ang guiding light is the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Officially,
There's 17. So which one are you addressing? All?
We are trying to address all.
But there must be a focus from the 17. So in your case, in your leadership, what is that? What number? In the SDG?
Sa amin naman, we focus on, in JCI Philippines as a whole, we've been focusing a lot on women empowerment. That's one. We've also been focusing on inclusions. No? So that's why we have the IP projects. But for me personally, the thing that I want to focus on is how do we help rebuild the businesses of our members, rebuild the economy of our country, and how do we move forward from that? So it's really focusing on the business aspect of it. That's the goal for this year.
Wow, interesting. So, napag-usapan natin na yung mga problema ng pandemya. So, parang dito, nabanggit, hindi lang pandemya yung naging problema. You mentioned about Odette, di ba? Dito sa Pilipinas, napaka-resilient na rin ng Pinoy. Parang karaniwan na rin, di ba, ang bagyo sa atin. What is your some sort of a process na in doing or in selecting or in addressing helping in a specific community? Because I know that you've also, I think your team, Kion, G, and all the rest, you recently went to Siargao and all that. So, ano yun? Parang, do you use your own money? You get it from your members? Or how do you tap, and convert all these resources and come up with a specific help or project to one community?
Yeah, actually, the JCI Philippines, JCI Manila, we have a big program. It's called the Oplan Kaagapay Damayan. So this program is every year. It's parang nakakalungkot isipin, pero talagang our country is really prone to disasters. So every year talaga, parang kahit wala pang disaster, lagi kami fundraising. Paano kami nag-fundraise? Minsan mag-sponsor kami ng movie, magbebenta ng tickets, ganun, or kung ano ng fundraising para may pondo kami. Para pagdating ng panahon na may disaster, mabilis tayo nakaka-disburse ng ano. So, the Oplan, it's done throughout the whole Philippines. So, may chapter sa JCI, sa Cebu, sa Surigao. So, nung nagkaroon ng Odette, mabilis din kami na-respond na meron tayong bottled water, clothing, basic relief goods. So, may programa talaga na every year siyang ginagawa. And nag-fundraise kami para may pondo kami. For the time na may ganun, ready na kami dun sa mga activities na yun.
In crafting a specific project, paano nyo tinitiyak na hindi lang ito temporary solution, but this could be something that will be sustaining? Sabi mo kanina, in your business, you cited your businesses as one example wherein there is a long-term impact to the community. How do you select that?
So in JCI, may tinatawag kaming ACF, Active Citizens Framework. So itong framework na ito ginagamit ng JCI globally. So first is talaga ina-analyze natin ano yung need ng community. And then we formulate solutions, and then we execute, and then after, doon naman rini-review and mini-monitor yung project. So sa pag-aaral na yun, talagang tinitigan namin kung maapektuhan ba yung community in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Ganun natin tinitigan siya. And ang important doon is, again, yung partnerships doon. Because if may ka-partner tayo sa lugar na yun, kunyari yung LGU doon, or yung community doon, yung IP community, na may MOU tayo or MOA, na talagang for the next 5 years, i-maintain po natin ito. And then doon siya nagiging long-term, yung project.
Direct Andre, he mentioned about partnerships. So how do you select a partner? Parang across, ano ba yun? Across sectors? Or you focus lang on the, after the parameter has been set, you guide it and you identify the key stakeholders in the project?
Echoing what Press Richard said, no? We use an active citizen framework where we identify the needs ng community. Pag na-identify po namin yun, dun po kami maghahanap ng mga partners from the private sector, from our public sector din po, para ho matamaan lahat ng needs ng community. Kasi yung active citizen framework po talaga is will really push you to know the essentials of what the community needs po talaga. And that's how we target partners.
Now, being a young leader, entrepreneur, you run your own business, you hold key positions in your respective companies. What do you think are your skills that you think is something being tapped here in this organization? Or the other side of the story is, what is it that your organization has, that gives you, completes you as a person, lalo na ang babata pa. Kasi parang di ba sinasabi nga nila, parang, wow, we have a community of younger tycoons now, younger leaders who are in the business sector.
Thanks for that question, sir. I can only speak for my own personal na. For me personally, marami pa ako natutunan sa organization than may na-contribute ako. And it's because nabibigyan kami ng chance na talagang tumulong, talagang mag-create ng project. And I think yan yung kagandahan sa organization namin. Na-mention kanina ni Director Andre, we're only given 1 year to lead yung organization. Ganun talaga nakadesenyo ang JCI. It's to provide development opportunities that empower us young people to create positive change. That's the mission of the organization. But not just our organization. I think lahat ng young people na lumabas doon and sumubok, doon natututo eh. And then nagagawa yung next generation of great leaders. If we continue to try to see the problems, to try to solve them, and magkakamali, lagi kami nagkakamali. Also in business, lagi nagkakamali. But in failing, we are succeeding every step of the way. And I think yan yung magic and yan yung power of being out there as a young citizen and really trying to help the community.
Wow. That's very insightful. But in your case, Direct Andre, what inspires you? What inspires you to help? What inspires you to move forward? Is there some sort of metrics in JCI na parang kailangan ma-achieve mo to?
In JCI naman po, for sure, we have KPIs. Pero para sa akin ho talaga, what really inspires me is one word, just sharing as much love as I can. Love. Love for my brothers, my JCI Manila brothers. Love for the communities. Whenever we get to help communities, it really instills in me the passion to help, to go out of my comfort zone, to go to Surigao, go to Bohol, go to all these far-flung places. Kasi kailangan ho talaga tayo pumunta doon eh. Kailangan ho talaga tayong lumabas sa comfort zone natin. And kahit ho gaano kahirap, it all stems from love talaga.
Wow. That's another revelation here because parang a lot of millennials, a lot of young leaders, there are some good and bad sides of the power of the millennials, diba? That's why we came up with a millennial feature here, focusing what they like, what they don't like, In your case, nalalaman namin, na-discover namin na parang you're more on the experience side. Millennials are now influenced by what they see on Instagram, on TikTok, and that's how they decide their future and the next action. They have to experience it, whether good or bad. Do you come up with a formal study on so what is changing in terms of consumer behavior, or what is it that you are looking at in terms of consumer behavior that you apply in both your business and in your organization?
Well, tama po yun. Yung first step talaga is maintindihan talaga yung merkado or maintindihan din yung mga taong, yung millennials in general. And the more na naintindihan namin, well, millennial din kami, di ba? The more na naintindihan, the more na parang mahatak na natin sila out of their comfort zones. Kasi gawin natin siyang relatable. I think yun yung term.
Yes.
Relatable na, for example, meron tayong mga project na tinutulungan mga tao in terms of yung livelihood. So, mga dating project na livelihood, example, tuturuan mo sila maging karpintero or ano. Ngayon, yung mga project namin, tuturuan namin yung mga community how to code. Diba? How to make your own app. How to invest in things na nandito ngayon sa internet. Meron kami yung project, pangalan is Be the Future. Ibig sabihin, paano ka gumawa ng sarili mong blog. So, sa ganun bagay, yung mga parang, kunyari, conception ng millennial na parang it's for show and medyo konting tamad ng konti, is matransform into something.
Again, hindi ako nagsabi niya na ikaw nagsabi.
It's really...
I'm trying to be very
Yes.
safe. Okay, but yes, you mentioned it and I agree. Okay.
And tama po yun even ourselves, no, na we're trying to challenge ourselves and that's the way how, na maging relatable. Na parang yung something na parang hindi mukhang nakakatulong is kaya naman gawin nakakatulong. Katulad ng pag-vlog, di ba? If mag-vlog sila tungkol sa sarili lang nila, wala yun. Pero pag nag-vlog sila tungkol sa community, paano tayo makatulong? Paano natin mapaunlad mga negosyo natin? Doon nagiging powerful ang mga new technologies na ginagamit ng kabataan.
And not only that, they're making money out of it. Diba?
Yes,
Parang
exactly.
they're I think YouTubers are more I mean they are paid higher than the mainstream artists and talents, diba?
Yeah.
Okay. Napag-usapan natin ang pagmamahal sa bayan, pagmamahal, love, as you mentioned it. Now, we are going to practice one of our most important rites this coming May. Sa lahat ng mga nakita nyo na plataforma, I'll start with you, Direk Andre. What are you looking for and who are you rooting for this coming elections?
Ang para po sa akin, ang pinaka-tinitignan ko sa ating mga kandidato is ang puso nila para tumulong sa ating mga komunidad at ang honesty nila about their platforms when what they have done in the past and kung ano yung mga nilalatag nila na platform. Yun ho talaga tinitignan ko kasi doon yung mako-compare kung ano talaga yung direksyon na gusto nilang pumunta ang ating bansa. And para ho kasi sa aming mga millennial to talaga, itong coming election po talaga. Kasi the next 6 years po ito para ho sa ating kinabukasan po ito talaga.
Tama.
And actually, in the next week or so po, meron po kaming voter symposium. Ma-invite ko po kayo doon. Sila Chair James Jimenez of Comelec will be one of our speakers. And we hope our viewers here can also tune in to our voter symposium next week.
Yes, yeah. We'll look forward to that. Now, you are in the business of road safety. So, siguro ang hinahanap mo ngayon yung somebody who can continue the build project of President Duterte in terms of infrastructure development. Who will you support? What specific engagement in business should be prioritized by the next president or administration?
I believe our candidates naman po, they have expressed naman na kanya-kanya nilang mga focus in the coming elections. Para sa akin po, ang alam ko naman po ay ang national budget po ay meron palaging budget for our roads. And para sa akin, sustainable naman po yung business model natin. And if mabawasan naman po yung budget, kagaya po ng natutunan ko lagi sa negosyo, kayang-kaya naman po natin mag-pivot palagi. At kaya ang lagi kong iniisip is ang kinabukasan ng ating bayan. Kasi yung bayan natin, hindi po natin pwedeng pabayaan. Kasi kung napabayaan po natin, doon talaga tayo, doon talaga babagsak yung negosyo ko. Kaya ako, it's all about choosing the right leadership and doon po ako makaka-pivot sa negosyo ko naman talaga.
Press Richard, you are in the business of tourism, and I think one of the most promising sectors in the Philippines, diba, is that we have the best tourist spots, and it has won several awards, diba? Parang even us Filipinos, when they see Bohol, when they see Boracay, when they see the different spots, scenic spots here in the Philippines, parang we are awed, diba? A lot of us, we've been privileged to see different parts of the world then, but with the leading BBM Sara in surveys, do you think tourism will continue to flourish, assuming the pandemic will be over? And being in that business, ano yung naiisip mo na dapat maiambag pa ng bagong presidente, ng bagong administrasyon para mas lalong bumuti yung kalagayan ng turismo sa Pilipinas?
Yeah, I think maganda ngayon na nabanggit niyo about yung natural na kagandahan ng Pilipinas. And yan yung maganda doon yung tourism. Tingin ko across sa mga party lines, talagang yan lahat ang sinasabi nila na isang ikaangat na ating bansa yung tourism. And I think ang pinakaambag ng gobyerno doon, first is of course yung peace and order. Kasi the more na secure yung mga lugar na to, mas pupunta talaga yung turista. And kasi yung natural beauty niya, it will speak for itself. Ang kailangan ng gobyerno, peace and order, one. And number two is yung infrastructure. Pag maganda yung infrastruktura ng isang lugar, may airport, may magandang mga kalye, mas napupuntahan. And the past 10 years, naging maganda para sa tourism. We have new airports in Palawan, Bohol, yes, Bicol, in Siargao. And itong mga airports na to, yun yung nakakatulong talaga in seaports. So infrastructure talaga, kung kayang mag-focus ang next administration in infrastructure, the tourism can take care of itself in the sense na maganda talagang Pilipinas.
In this election, first time natin na bumoto sa gitna ng pandemya. And I think it's the first time also in the Philippines where it will undergo this election process under a global pandemic. And the campaigning process has evolved, has been changed. Ang daming bawal sa COMELEC. Nabanggit mo na technology na naman. What is the role now of social media technology in these elections? Kasi yung mga kaidaran ninyo, tumitingin talaga sa social media. So, ganun ba ang kalaki ng epekto nito? Some of the candidates really placed a lot of money in digital platforms. Will this affect you when we see a lot of advertising on social media? Do you find this authentic? Will you be influenced as a millennial, or are you looking at the authenticity or content or message or whatever, regardless of any platform?
I believe I actually, may nabasa ako ng isang araw na an average Filipino spends about 10 hours a day on social media. And para sa akin natural lang naman maapektuhan yung pag-iisip ng mga tao, lalo na mga millennial. At nasa sa atin na po yun nga. Actually, lagi po namin pinagsasabi kanina na responsibilidad po ng lahat ng Pinoy, ng lahat ng Pilipino na maging responsable sa pag-share ng information sa isa't isa, lalo na sa ating mga kabataan. Kasi talagang nakaka-influence po talaga ito. kagaya ho namin, we take this responsibility very seriously po at I hope everybody takes this responsibility very seriously as well.
But in terms of selecting the candidate, what do you think? What's your take on voters being influenced by digital advertising? So I want to know your take. What will influence you in terms of kasi di ba parang sinasabi din nila that awareness does not necessarily mean conversion into votes. But being a millennial, what is it that you are looking for?
Well, as a millennial, speaking as a millennial, talagang tama po, no? Social media, napakalaking parte na ng buhay namin. Papunta pa lang ako dito, tingin sa ganun. Pag nag-break, tumitingin din tayo sa... Mamaya, mag-post din po tayo. Ano nangyari sa akin today? Yan yung ano ng millennial. Pero, paano ba pumipili yung millennial ng candidate? I think, more and more, about kung sino ang relatable. And kaya, kasi ang mga millennial, kung pansin nyo, kada galaw niya, dinadocument niya, kada galaw niya. And dun kasi, nafe-feel din ng millennial, dun nalabas kung gaano ka sincero, gaano ka authentic din yung candidate, kung ano yung ginagawa niya sa pang-araw-araw. So, yung sa question niya po na, sa TikTok ba, ganyan? Yes, opo. Kasi dun makikita ng voter, dun makita ng millennial voter, kung paano ba siya sa normal niya ng buhay. I think yan yung talagang ano ng millennial is, paano siya nakaka-relate dun sa mga kandidato.
Okay, we're running out of time at magagalit si Kian tsaka si Shi kapag hindi ko natanong. You have a project that recognizes outstanding policemen. Can you briefly talk about this?
Yes, sir. Actually, this is our third year in doing this project. It's called Jimenez Awards. We are currently searching for the 20 best policemen in terms of professionalism, accomplishments, and overall performance in their duties as uniformed personnel in our country. I think this is a really good project in recognizing their efforts and the good work that they're doing in keeping the peace in our society. And we're currently looking for the 20 best policemen in NCR. I hope mag-submit po kayo ng kanyang mga applicants kay Shi tsaka kay Kion.
Who will select the winners?
May select panel po kami from our JCI Manila chapter that will be able to peruse all the applications po. And yearly naman po meron kaming mga criteria na nilalabas.
Maybe a lot of our viewers will talk. I will ask who is the Jimenez in the Jimenez Awards.
Ang ating Jimenez po is about Jimenez Foundation, si Ignacio B. Jimenez po. Sila po ay yearly pong nagsusuporta sa ating programa at we want to express our gratitude to them for always supporting our uniformed personnel and the awards that we will be giving them.
Okay, now we know that we have this last few minutes to discuss this, but how do you inspire more young entrepreneurs to join to join this many projects on community building, nation building, and at the same time think of sustainable projects that will benefit your respective businesses and your communities?
Yeah. So, I'll just address lahat ng manonood natin. Sana po lahat tayo is maging active, lumabas, and talagang tumulong. May mga organization tulad ng JCI, pero marami pang iba. I think ang pinaka-mensahe lang dito is tayo bilang mga kabataan, young active citizens, marami tayong pwedeng gawin para umunlad yung bansa natin, umunlad yung communities, and lahat ng mga natutunan natin in terms of social media, in terms of yung mga makabagong technology, lahat yun, yes, nag-enjoy po tayo dun. Pero pag na-harness natin, pag nagamit natin po yun para sa kabutihan, mas lalong gumaganda pa. And then yung message naman ng isang youth organization tulad namin is talagang lumabas at maging active at tumulong. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Andre?
I-echo ko lang yung sinabi ng aming presidente. And I believe we can only do that if we all do it together. Together with our communities, together with our partnerships. I believe every small act, lahat po ng kabataan, may kakayahan upang tumulong sa ating mga komunidad. And kahit gaano kaliit to, basta ho meron tayong gawin na kabutihan, every day meron ho tayong magagawang kabutihan. Malaking bagay na ho yun para sa ating komunidad. And I hope everybody does their own part. Thank you.
Richard, for every episode I ask this, ano yung tips na pwede mo ibigay sa mga small businesses? Kasi lalo na ngayong pandemya, marami yung nagsara din, marami yung nahirapan. And I'm sure you have experienced also a lot of challenges during the pandemic. What are your tips to small businesses in terms of being resilient and in terms of surviving the pandemic?
Siguro laging sumubok at huwag sumuko. Yun yung dalawang bagay na And of course, tayong mga millennial, talaga naramdaman natin yun sa pandemic. Ako naman sa own personal lahat ng meron ako dahil yun sa magulang ko. And kung ano yung natrabaho nila, parehong magulang ko galing sa probinsya. Ang father ko po is 17 years old pa lang, nagtatrabaho na siya sa pier. And sabay niya ginagawa yung negosyo niya noong time na yun. And walang naniniwala sa kanya noong time na yun na taga-probinsya ka na kayang mong lumago bilang isang negosyante. Pero hindi siya tumigil sa pagsubok at hindi siya sumuko. So yun yung dalawang bagay na pwede natin tignan yung pandemya na maganda rin para sa mga millennial. Kasi ngayon nabigyan na tayo ng pagsubok na yun. And susuko ba tayo? Nasa sa atin na yun. And of course, ang advice natin is wag na wag sumuko.
That's a perfect way to end this conversation. Thank you very much, Andre Christopher Bernardo, Director for Special Projects and Partnerships of JCI Manila, and Richard Lim Jr., President of JCI Manila. Open for Business will be back. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Open for Business. I am Randy Bernardino, and here are the trending business news around the world. Thailand's economy rebounds in fourth quarter. Thailand's economy rebounded in the fourth quarter of last year on the back of rising exports and the easing of coronavirus restrictions that allowed tourists to return. The 1.9% on-year expansion was more than double what was forecast and marked a strong bounce after a 0.2% contraction in the previous 3 months. Southeast Asia's second largest economy was hit with a 6.1% contraction in 2020, its worst economic performance since the 1997 Asian economic crisis. The National Economic and Social Development Council, or NESDC, said it sees growth of 3.5 to 4.5% this year had made some impact. Nearly 500,000 tourists have visited since November, well short of the country's target of 5 million. But the arrivals provided much needed support to the economy. Trump's new social media app begins slow rollout. Donald Trump's new social media app started a gradual rollout and should be fully operational by late March, potentially raising the former president's profile more than a year after he was banned by major platforms. Trump has described Truth Social as an alternative to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, all of which banned him following the assault on the US Capitol by his supporters on January 6, 2021. The App Store has allowed visitors to pre-order Truth Central, which started on the President's Day holiday in the United States. Trump and his wife Melania also plan to offer for sale 10,000 NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, illustrating key moments in the Trump presidency. Before being banned by Twitter, Trump had some 89 million followers there and used the platform constantly, both for presidential statements and to attack rivals. Luxury sector undaunted by COVID. The pandemic and soaring inflation have done nothing to take the shine off luxury brands, from Louis Vuitton to Gucci, as the sector hiked prices to notch up stellar profits. The world economy began to recover from the pandemic last year, but the rebound has been accompanied by rising inflation, with prices for raw materials and energy soaring. But luxury good makers can respond by hiking their prices and actually look more desirable to their customers. UBS analysts estimate that top brands such as Louis Vuitton, which is owned by industry leader LVMH, have raised their prices 2.5 times higher than the inflation rate over the past 20 years. Indeed, pricing power remains one of the key characteristics of the luxury goods industry. LVMH bagged a record 64 billion euros in sales and 12 billion euros in net profit last year, both exceeding pre-pandemic levels. And now on to our tech buzz, where we find out the latest trends in technology. Today we learn, what is the metaverse? The metaverse is a digital reality that combines aspects of social media, online gaming, augmented reality, virtual reality, and cryptocurrencies that allow users to interact virtually. Augmented reality overlays visual elements, sound, and other sensory input onto real-world settings to enhance the user experience. In contrast, virtual reality is entirely virtual and enhances fictional realities. As the metaverse grows, it will create online spaces where user interactions are more multi-dimensional than what current technology supports. Instead of just viewing digital content, users in the metaverse will be able to immerse themselves in a space where the digital and physical worlds converge. Now on to today's job hunting tip. Every week, we will provide you with tips for first-time job seekers, for those wanting to advance in their careers, and even those wanting to start fresh and change professions. Today's tip: follow up. Immediately after a job interview, send the hiring manager a thank you note. If you haven't heard back from them after a week, follow up with a phone call or an email. When doing so, show your excitement and interest in the job. While you wait for a response, continue searching for and applying to jobs that interest you. And now on to our Millennial News with Jasmine Agustin.
Every day, whether you realize it or not, you engage in negotiations. Understanding the fundamental ways to negotiation, identifying the psychological underpinning for successful agreements, and establishing an effective negotiation style are all part of being a master negotiator. Why are you negotiating in the first place? You have these simple motives. First, you desire something from the other side and are willing to give something in exchange. 2, the other side is interested in what you have to offer and is eager to give it to you. Finally, you both want to make a deal. Okay, millennials, sit back and relax as I teach you how to negotiate effectively. Number 1. Arrange for everything to be negotiated. We handle everything ourselves, and you will discover that most wealthy people do the same. There is never a situation where the wealthy won't try to obtain a better deal because they have always been given one when they asked for it in the past. In negotiations, the power move is to demand a special offer, something other than the 10% discount. Something significant. You do not get unless you ask. Number 2. Make at least 2 offers at once and let them choose between them. This is an intriguing method that can assist you in determining the best way to approach a problem in order to achieve your goals. Make the transaction into distinct ways and let the other person choose which one they prefer. One thing to keep in mind is that if you have the upper hand in a negotiation, you should not discuss it. Keep your mouth shut and concentrate on the game until it is over. Number 3. Never give something without receiving something back. Giving anything away for free is the worst thing one can do in a negotiation. In order to receive anything, you must first offer something. The rule of equivalent exchange should be followed at all times. Negotiating is never simple. You will become more comfortable with the procedure once you have figured out what works and what doesn't. Before you start negotiating, make sure you know what the other side's interests and positions are in comparison to your own. I am Jasmine Agustin for Open for Business.
Bida sa pelikula, sa commercials, sa game shows, sa puso mo. Pero ngayon, kayo naman ang bibida dito. Soon on Net25.
There are different ways to show Filipino pride. For some, adding a Philippine flag emoji somewhere on their profile page is sufficient. While for others, supporting a kababayan participating in an international sporting event or beauty contest is just the beginning. Kailangan ding may OPM silang panlaban sa videoke at may paborito silang kakanin. Kayo, how do you show you're proud to be Pinoy? For the late President Benigno Simeon Noynoy Aquino III, being called Pinoy is not enough. He made sure to wear barong Tagalog often, especially during presidential functions. Siya rin ang kauna-unahan at kaisa-isang pangulo na gumamit ng wikang Filipino sa kabuuan ng kanyang State of the Nation Address o SONA. In this episode, we'll revisit Pinoy's legacy and determine if his economic policies were also pro-Filipino. Si Pinoy ang nag-iisang anak na lalaki ni na dating Pangulong Corazon Cory Aquino at dating Senador Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. He used to be the former student of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo at the Ateneo de Manila University, where he earned his bachelor's degree in economics. Several experts described the Philippine economy under Pinoy as stable and impressive. Growing at an average of 6%, the GDP during his presidency was deemed the highest since the 70s. The construction, trade, real estate, and transportation and communication industries grew the fastest. This was partly attributed to the Public-Private Partnership or PPP program, which gave the private sector a larger role in key infrastructure projects around the country. Halimbawa ng mga natapos na proyekto sa ilalim ng PPP ay ang Muntinlupa-Cavite Expressway, ang automatic fare collection system sa LRT at MRT lines, at ang 9,296 na silid-aralan sa Phase 1 ng School Infrastructure Project. Nakapagtaya naman ng mas mataas na revenue collections ang administrasyon ni Pinoy. Ito ay matapos dagdagan ang buwis sa alak at sigarilyo bilang bahagi ng sin tax reform noong 2012. The increased collections helped the country to receive investment-grade status from some of the world's major credit rating agencies. Napalawig din nito ang sakop ng Pantawid Pamilya Filipino Program o 4Ps na sinimulan ng administrasyon ni Arroyo. Ilang batas din na sumusuporta sa mga negosyante ang naipasa mula 2010 hanggang 2016. Isa na rito ang Go Negosyo Act na lalong pasiglahin ang pagtatayo ng MSMEs at paglikha ng trabaho sa bansa. There's also the Youth Entrepreneurship Act, which aims to help young Filipino entrepreneurs with business registration and finance education. Despite the stable economic growth during Pinoy's term, poverty incidence remained high. Hindi natugunan ng administrasyon ang MDG goal na mabawasan ang bilang ng mahirap sa bansa sa 16% matapos makapagpatala ng 23.5% na poverty rate noong 2015. Meanwhile, Forbes reported that the net worth of the 40 richest Filipinos more than tripled to 3.66 trillion pesos from 2010 to 2015. Mas tumindi tuloy ang paniniwala ng masa na mayayaman lamang ang nakinabang sa pag-unlad ng ekonomiya sa panahon ni Pinoy. Dahil umano rito, kaya mas pinaboran ng mga botante ang nooy Davao Mayor na si Rodrigo Roa Duterte na nangakong pupuksain ang kriminalidad at kahirapan sa bansa. Para naman sa veteranong kolumnista na si Rigoberto Tiglao, nakaapekto sa pag-unlad ng bansa ang paghina ng mga institusyon ng pamahalaan sa ilalim ni Pinoy. Patunay raw nito ang nangibabaw na patrimonial state kung saan ang administrasyon ay binuo at pinatakbo ng mga kamag-anak at kaibigan ni Pinoy. Tinawag din ito ng mga kritiko na KKK, kakampi, kakaibigan at kabarilan, which Pinoy allegedly bribed to drive away Chief Justice Renato Corona from the Supreme Court. Malayo man sa pagiging perpekto, nakatulong ang administrasyon ni Pinoy upang makilala bilang rising tiger ang Pilipinas mula sa pagiging sick man of Asia. After stepping down from office in 2016, he led a private life. Former President Noynoy Aquino passed away last June 24 due to renal disease secondary to diabetes. Next week, we'll get to know more about President Duterte and his administration. Ano bang naging lagay ng ating ekonomiya sa huling 6 na taon? Has Dutertenomics been effective amid crisis? Aalamin natin lahat ng yan sa susunod na episode ng Open for Business.
Nakikiusap po ako. Maawa ka po sa kanya! Hindi ako maawa! Bakit ba? Lahat na lang nasabihin namin ay kinokontra mo! Ako, si Contraman!
Mga kasama, ito ng mga dokumento. Kailangan nating lagdaan yan. Gamit ang ating mga dugo.
Kailangan ba talagang dugo? Dugo? Pwede na na lang.
Ang ating pong game ngayon ay pagalingan sa Tinikling!
Open for Business is back, and our term of the week is corporate citizenship. Corporate citizenship involves the social responsibility of businesses and the extent to which they meet legal, ethical, and economic responsibilities established by shareholders. The goal is to produce higher standards of living and quality of life for the communities that surround them while maintaining profitability. The COVID-19 crisis has not stopped CSR initiatives in the Philippines, bagkos lalo pa nga nating nakita ang pagkakaisa at pagtutulungan sa ating mga kababayan as young entrepreneurs step up and inspire others to join the collective effort. Communities are gradually rebuilt and future leaders are developed. Truly, with unity, we can build a better future for our country. With that, our quote of the week is from Mr. Clay Ford Jr., Executive Chairman of Ford Motor Company. Creating a strong business and building a better world are not conflicting goals. They are both essential ingredients for long-term success. Maraming salamat sa inyong panonood ng Open for Business. Thank you to our guests from JCI Manila, Mr. Richard Lim Jr. and Mr. Andre Christopher Bernardo. Samahan ninyo kaming muli sa Open for Business sa susunod na linggo. Learn more insights from CEOs, thought leaders, industry experts, and SMEs promoting business development in the Philippines, keeping you informed and open for business. Be ahead of the curve from vision to action. Panoorin din ang programang OFB sa Facebook at YouTube. Mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media at Net25 TV. Para sa Open for Business, ako po si Cesar Vallejos. We live in interesting times.